Well, I'm Johnny Casino, and I'm here to talk about my new record called High Stone, which was recorded in Philadelphia.
Beautiful, Johnny. Thanks for joining us this afternoon here this morning there.
Pleasure.
So we're here today to talk about your recently released album High Stone, which came out last Friday, mate. So I know it hasn't been out long, but how's the early reception been? Is it what you hope for?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I make a lot of records, and once I'm happy with them, then I just put them out into the world, and there's really not too much I can do with them. People like them. Some people tell me that they don't like them as much as the last, they like them more than the last one. My hands are clean. Once I'm happy with it and I've given it to someone to do their job by by manufacturing it, then my job's done.
That's
I
refreshing.
mean,
So,
I don't give them out until I know that I've done something that I'm happy with or proud of, or at least something that's interesting to me.
yeah. So going along those lines, bro, like how soon after wrapping up an album are you actually thinking about the next one?
To be honest, it's a problem with me because sometimes before I've started making one, I'm thinking about the one after it.
Yes.
For example, this one, before it was even fully recorded, I had started recording the next record and already had the songs together for the record after that. So it's some sort of fever or some sort of virus or some sort of thing that I can't stop it, and I'm quite happy with that. So you know what I mean.
You might want to cut back on your siestas a bit, mate. We might be having too many.
I might need more siestas to so I'm not got the writing fever.
So also along those lines too, bro, like you had done a lot of writing and you put out a lot of music. So do you find it becomes easier or harder to come up with something fresh and your own the more you sort of write and release?
I think that the moment that I stop feeling deeply about certain things, whether it be good feelings, bad feelings, indifferent feelings, that the moment that I stop having sort of I write from the hip, so to speak. So how I feel is how I write. So the the moment that I'm totally at peace with the world or myself or the things around me, um, maybe that will be the one final record where I am at peace with everything. I get everything, all that happy stuff off my chest, and then it's all over. But I don't find it more difficult, or I think I find it easier than when I first started writing songs when I was 14 or 15, 15 or 16. I find it easier now because I think back then I was probably busy trying to be something that I wasn't. So I learned early on to just be myself. So I found it pretty easy.
And so onto the album High Stone, bro, like can you tell us a bit more about it from a musical point of view and what you were going for with it?
Well, I think I was going for I kind of had this idea a few years back, and I used it on a record called Time and Time Again, which came out in 2017, where I was kind of going for a heavier version of the Small Faces or something like that, where I was sound wise, I was really interested in what the song sounded like rhythmically with just drums, bass, and either Hammond organ or electric piano before I started adding guitars. I wanted to get the songs to a point where I thought they were nearly ready to be finished without adding all the guitars that I might add. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I would then add the guitars because maybe, for lack of a better description, that might be what I'm known for is guitar based music. But I wanted the songs to be really nearly finished without adding all those guitars. So that's what I was working for.
All right. So along those lines, mate, like do you generally map out the sonic journey of an album before going into the studio, or do you sort of more let the music dictate it as you go along?
Just the idea, just the idea, the loose idea of how I want it sounding sonically, is the only thing that I would sort of map out. I like to work. I like to play with people that the first thing that I like to do is play with people that I enjoy spending time with or hanging out with. You know what I mean? I'm not necessarily interested in playing with people that are just great musicians. I
Yeah.
want to hang. I want to record music with people that I've got shit in common with and stuff. People that I want to sit at the bar with and have a conversation with. I'm not just interested in musicianship. I'm interested in people. And so the way that I usually do it is I'll sit with a drummer, acoustically show them the song or the parts of the song, and then we'll just work for 10 or 15 minutes on finding the right feel or groove, and then take it from there. I'll always have a loose arrangement in my head, but it will be loose depending on what the drummer and the rhythm section comes up with. You know, I'm happy to sort of roll with it from there.
Yeah, cool. So you released the singles "The Ghost Train" and "Mr. Fast Gun" off High Stone. So just say that's all anyone's heard of the album. Would you say they're a good sonic representation of what to expect?
Yeah, that and a couple of more subdued or that yeah, I think they are. And then there would be a couple of moments that are a little bit slower or quieter or something like that. But I think they're a pretty good representation, you know, somewhere between. Yeah, no, I think they are. Yeah. I'm trying to find something that's on the record that's not kind of somewhere in between them or around them. But I think yeah, they're a pretty good representation.
Yeah. You sort of touched on this a little bit before, man, but you've used more keyboards in the music for this album. So why did you decide that now was the right time to introduce more of that element?
I like I said just before, I tried that way on a different record some years ago and enjoyed it. And just with these group of songs, I wanted to get back to that way, is just try it again. Plus the person that I knew that was going to be playing the keyboards or Hammond or electric piano on it is a good friend of mine and is a real talent too. So I wanted to really see what he would come up with using that idea as well. So it was a good opportunity being in Philadelphia and being able to use the band that I did. The band's called St. James and the Apostles. And yeah, the combination of the songs and the band made me sort of steer back to that direction, you know?
When it's played by someone who knows what they're doing, there's no better instrument for that sort of music, is there?
Oh, no. Especially when someone's got like a good musical vocabulary as well. You know, I can describe certain things to him, like make it sound more like Garth Hudson from the band, or make it sound more honky tonk, or make it sound more gospel. And within 30 seconds, that's exactly what it sounds like, you know?
Yeah.
So when you're working with someone like that, it's a real pleasure to just describe things with words, and then you can hear it when they play, you know?
Yeah, fuck yeah. Now you mentioned the backing band that you used just before St. James and the Apostles, mate. So tell us a bit more about them and what they brought to the sound on this album.
I've known Jamie, who's the guitar player and singer in that band. I've known him for 25 years or something like that. From when I first started visiting Philadelphia, he was one of the first people I sort of met. He's a bass player. He was a bass player back then. He's still a bass player, but in this band, he's playing guitar and singing. But yeah, I played a concert with them in Philadelphia. I want to say in around 2016, which was when I first met the other guys in the band. And I think the 3 songs into their set, the first thing was like, I need to record some music with these guys. Like straight away, I was just like, no, they're my kind of people. And I think in 2019, maybe I was in Philadelphia again, and I'd stumbled across an old guitar that I bought and felt like I wanted to go into the studio and just see what it sounded like, kind of thing, with a band. And called up Jamie and asked him if he was busy. And, you know, 2 days later, we were in the studio sort of goofing around on a song. And that's when the first time I sort of played with the band, and my feelings from the years previous were the same. I was like, no, this band's the right fit for me. So if they were happy to do it, then I was happy to do it. And they're just, I think they're just, one, they're really interesting at what they do. You know what I mean? Like really interesting drummer, really interesting keyboards and bass and guitar, and they come from the same sort of place that I come from musically, where we're interested in old equipment and why things sounded a certain way as they did in the 50s and the 60s and stuff like that, and what was used to make those sounds, you know? So all that stuff lends itself a lot to my music and what I want it to sound like and where I want it to go.
You actually raised a good point there. Like with the sort of music you play, not probably so much with harder and the heavy metal stuff, but the sort of music you play, like a person's personality really shines through in their music, doesn't it? Like that's just as important as the ability to be able to play their instrument. Like they've got to feel it, you know, and it sounds like that's very important in what you do.
I couldn't agree more. If my music doesn't sound like me, then I'm fucking pretending, and that's the last thing I want to do. You know what I mean? Like I said, when I was 15 or 16 and trying to be something that I wasn't, just because I thought that's how you did it. I think I learned real fast. By the time I was 20 or 21, I was like, no, I have to do my thing, not someone else's thing. I don't, you know what I mean? Like I can't, you know, try to be someone else. I've got to be myself, because at least then if you fail or nothing comes from it, then you've just failed being yourself. You haven't failed pretending to be someone else. But I believe that that's a strong point in my music, that my personality shines through, and for better or worse, it's just honest, and that's the way that it is. You know, if I haven't spent 54 years on this, crazy planet to try to be someone else. You know what I mean? If I've learned one thing, it's just like, be honest, be yourself, and you'll fall down and fucking take some skin off your knee, but get back up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward, you know?
Oh yeah, brother. Well said. Now, Australian readers and listeners might be more familiar with you as guitarist John Spittles from Sydney '90s rock outfit Asteroid B-612. So, how different is the music that you're making now to the music that you were making back then?
I think it's grown. I mean, as people grow, or people get more mature or older or have more experiences, and I've just learned more about myself, about the things around me. And I mean, I was the principal songwriter in that band as well. I didn't sing the songs, but I wrote a large percentage of them and was the guitar player. So there's still that element, you know what I mean? Like my guitar playing may have changed a lot over the years, but it's still my guitar playing, you know what I mean? So I think that you can still hear elements of it, but I think songwriting is better, the arrangements is better, and the songs are more mature. Maybe some people aren't going to appreciate that. You know
Like
what I
you
mean?
said,
I
like,
think
being
that
honest.
some people, yeah, I think you're right. Some people will talk to me and say like, I liked it when it was more like this, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. That's when I was 22,
That's right.
and I
Young.
really didn't. And when I look back at some songs, I go like, I think to myself, okay, I got it right there on that song, and then I listen to another five of them and say, what the fuck were you thinking with that arrangement? Like, it just, a lot of it just seems so aimless to me, and it was all built around volume and power, and and sort of no depth of touch or dynamics. It was just built around like, how fast can I pummel someone's head in with volume and power? You know what I mean? And that's not who I am anymore. I get that that's who I was back then, but it's not who I am now. So it'd be silly for me to be still trying to do that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Now, after you left that band in 2004, like you've eventually relocated over to the US or to Spain, actually, like permanently. So, what was the transition like musically, like going from Australia to that climate over there? Was it a big sort of change, I guess?
Well, I had lived in America for a few years in the late 90s and the early 2000s while Asteroid B-612 was still going. So I'd gotten a little bit I got my feet sort of wet, so to speak, about living abroad. I started touring Europe, and a lot of those tours that went through Europe spent a lot of time in Spain in the early like 2002, around that time. So I knew that there was a small but audience that had a fever for the kind of music that I did. You know what I mean? I knew that I could come here and do some things, but it was more of a lifestyle change than. And I think that I don't think my music had run its course in Australia, but I think that I felt like I was sort of bashing my head against the wall a little bit, playing the same venues to the same people. And those same people I appreciate, and I will always appreciate. So it's not about me turning my back on them. It was just more about like, okay, there's another audience in Spain, there's another one in France, there's another one in Belgium, there's another one in the Netherlands, in Germany, and so forth. And I had my wife is Spanish, and we were talking about maybe relocating. So it all just made sense at the time. And yeah, I haven't regretted 1 second of it.
No, brother. Good on you, my man. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today, Johnny. Your album High Stone is out now. Where do people get a hold of it if they want to have a listen?
Where all good music is sold.
JB Hi-Fi.
There you go.
That's all I've got.
All right.
All right, brother. You take care, man. I'm really digging the music. I had to listen to a couple of songs before the interview, bro, and I'm going to definitely check out some more, mate. It's fucking very, like I say, it's got feelings, got heart. So
Unreal. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you.